So I'm so excited, Chef Tamara. I am so excited about interviewing you. So just to start off, can you tell me about your beginnings way back in 2009 when you started Soully Vegan? What made you want to start this restaurant and why in Oakland?
So I'm going to be very transparent with you, okay? Um so so I started at the farmers market actually. That's where we kind of, began to place our footprint in the community. I myself am from Oakland. I mean, we moved around a lot as children, but primarily my home was Oakland. So my grandfather came there from Louisiana and built a very large family there. I have a very big family, and all of us again are from Oakland. So that's the reason why I chose to open up in Oakland. And so when I launched our product at the farmers market, I knew that I had something to offer the world that the world had not yet seen or tasted or experienced before. I made the decision to become vegan when I was about 17. So when I began cooking, that was the cuisine that I kind of course, gravitated towards. My grandfather being from Louisiana and being the greatest man that I've ever known in my life. He definitely set the stage for work ethic. He was always working, took very good care of his family. And as a little girl, as a 5-year-old girl, I used to look at him and say, I want to be like him when I grow up. So that being said, the Louisiana Creole and the plant-based was just kind of an automatic decision, being my culture and then my diet.
I love that. I mean, you started becoming, we got to get into this. Like you made that decision. First of all, your family's from Louisiana, you got a Creole, so we're talking about gumbo. We're talking about
Oh yeah.
like, the different Cajun, the spices, the seafood, and
Yeah.
you made the decision to go vegan. So tell us about that. Tell us about like why did you make that decision and then thinking about it at such a young age, why did you make that decision and how did your family react to that?
Yeah, definitely. So, actually, my mother fed us a lot of vegetarian dishes growing up. I don't think we didn't call it that, and that wasn't her intent. And we were not vegan by any sense of the word or vegetarian. So we did still do fish and chicken, and but vegetarian meals were not foreign to me. My mom made a lot of dishes without, squash soup was one of our favorite dishes. Buttered black eyed peas, and she didn't put any meat in those things. But for my grandfather, of course, when she was cooking for my grandfather, she'd have to make it just so. He wouldn't have it any other way. But for us kids, she just intuitively, when I asked her later what made her make the decision to feed us so well growing up, snacks being yogurt and granola, apples and raisins, carrot salad as a snack, as a treat. And she said intuitively, she just tried to do her best, and this is a woman that, to say that we had very little is an understatement. At times, we went without eating for 3 days at a time. We were very poor, so to speak. But the money that she did have, she tried to make the best choices for us kids and feed us very well.
Wow, I love that. I love the fact that it's something about, especially with mothers, right? They just, you make do with what you have, and then you don't, you wouldn't really know when you're a kid, but the fact that your mom just came in and was like, okay, we'll do like some healthy sort of like eating or figure out
Yeah.
other ways to supplement that. That's really cool. So that was, you would say, like kind of the start of your vegan journey from
Vegan
childhood.
journey, yeah, so
Okay.
to speak. So then when I actually made the decision to go vegan, and then always like catch up with me if I go off track, because sometimes if I'll just go back
That's
into my
fine.
story, like,
Chat.
what was the question? But and then I made the decision to go vegan myself. I was actually eating a piece of chicken. And when at this particular time, I bit into the chicken and I saw the bone. And at that time, it's not like that hadn't happened to me before. At that time, it just didn't sit well with me. And I all of a sudden just got grossed out. And I was like, I'm eating meat off of a bone. And then it just didn't sit well with me. And that at that point, actually, myself and some friends of mine decided to go vegetarian. And then later, we ultimately made the decision to go vegan. So that was really it. It was later that I found out and learned and studied about animal cruelty, which was the reason why I made the choice to stay vegan. But that was my initial reason, for going vegan. So when we started out at the farmers market, that was the cuisine I was cooking. We got laughed at, and people were like, Louisiana and soul food and Creole, and you're doing it vegan. That doesn't make any sense. That's an oxymoron. But you know what? Because, on my journey and kind of losing my apartment, getting my car, the journey that kind of encompassed me following my dream. I had to reference stories and things of individuals who were successful, who are now successful, but kind of their journey up into that. So I understood that when people were laughing, I said, okay, I must be on the right path. I must have something here if people are laughing at me.
Right,
So
right.
I
You're
stayed on
making
course.
us making it known.
Yeah, I stayed on course.
I love that. And what I'm realizing when I'm hearing about your story is just a lot of transition. So you started in the farmers market. What made you think like, okay, I'm gonna just start in this farmers market, and then what particular items were you selling? Like, you need to know, what did you start off with?
I started off with black eyed peas, greens, and yams, and cornbread. Those were the four items that I started off with. And being that, vegan Louisiana Creole was new to the market, people were like, okay, can you get this? Can we get that? And it was actually the people from the farmers market. When you say what kind of prompted me to open up a restaurant, having no prior restaurant experience, mind you, I had never even been a waitress. I came from the medical field. And I was one prerequisite away from nursing school, in which, single mother, worked very hard to reach that point. Physicians had written recommendation letters for me to get into the school of choice. Like, I was well on my way. But I had this urge, this burning desire to not only be an entrepreneur, but to offer this part of myself to the world. And so it was actually the people that convinced me to open up a restaurant. My mother actually said, go straight from the farmer's market and get your products into the stores, go do your frozen food line. And so I think that was the initial vision. But when the community was like, okay, well, we need this more than once a week, so we're going to be at your house. We're going to come to your house. And so then I said, let me look at this restaurant, concept. And found a location that, I could not afford. I didn't have any money for it. And it was just kind of the chain of events that happened that led me to secure that location was definitely divine order. I went there, I opened up. On the day that I opened my doors, I had $27 in the cash register that my sister put in there so that we would have change for customers. I had literally had nothing. And I built that business from there. And, it was just pure passion and will and faith that I would succeed.
I love that. I mean, thinking about just like how we start our businesses, right? Like, especially as like Black-owned businesses, not having the capital. But you were able, to secure that capital. Can you just tell us more on like not only securing the space, right? But just like now the operation side of things, like how we able just to still keep things going afloat in this new business at that time.
Yeah. You know what? I think, again, when I referenced my grandfather, I referenced the work ethic. And then that work ethic was passed down to my mother. I see my mother work like a machine. And I think that I have that quality as well. And that's good and bad because, I can do a lot. I was pulling 18 to 20-hour days, I was the person that went in. I prepped the food, I cooked the food. So oftentimes I served the food. I couldn't afford staff, at the time. I closed down, I cleaned up, I was the dish person, I was everything. And so, with that being said, it was just when I say that it was sheer will and determination and the grace of God that allowed me to realize my dream. And because I envisioned Soulely Vegan a long time, for many years before I actually made a move on it. And I envisioned this place where people from all backgrounds and cultures and, would come and enjoy, a plant-based experience or just good food that happened to be plant-based. And it would just kind of be like a haven where we would have desserts and we would have this and we would have that. And because, and I'd like to say that Soulely Vegan, when you talk about kind of what it took to open, keep in mind that, all of the products that we serve at Soulely Vegan are handmade. So from our vegan proteins, our vegan cheeses, our sauces, etc. We're not that restaurant that kind of brings on, frozen, burgers and things like that. Um, we are the culture is that we make everything from scratch. And that too is what I got from my mother, is that she would make everything from scratch. But yeah, it was just really just the work ethic really that saved me, is that I was willing to do it. And, even at times when I would get 30 minutes sleep, 1 hour sleep, I roll over and I'll do it again, and I'll do my very best. And that's how the brand was built. And soon it was word of mouth. And then soon, upcoming years, people were flying in from all over the country to come enjoy Soully Vegan experience.
Wow, truly, truly just amazing. I mean, when you think about just like that hard work, right? That hard work is like literally paying off. And when did you feel like you realized finally I'm finally at a point where it's paying off? I'm finally up. When was that point where you're just like, it's paying off, or I can now hire more, I can hire staff, or I can like do more updates on certain equipment? When was
Sure.
that time?
Yeah, it was just kind of along the way. I think when I opened Soully Vegan, it was in July of 2009. And so, we had some of that summer left, and then we went into the winters, which is often slow for restaurants. So I went a while without, just kind of building the name. And it happened. I mean, and I'd say less probably than a year. I'd have to see exactly when we started to kind of even break even. But it was pretty quick, so to speak, in restaurant language. A lot of restaurants don't, succeed their past, their first year. If you're, statistically, if you're open up past 3, it's a wonderful thing. Um, but yeah, now we have, there's a lot of recognitions, there's a lot of, achievements, along the way, a lot of awards. And for me, you asked me that question, and it's kind of like, in terms of kind of breaking even and now the money flowing, I'd say within a year, or 2, now we can kind of, okay, now we can kind of upgrade some equipment and, get, put this dynamic team together. But in terms of like all the awards and all the recognitions and everything along the way, I probably don't even remember half of them. I have to kind of look them up. I'm kind of that person that I kind of just keep my head down and I work. And we're still in the process. I believe, and I think especially kind of in the Black culture, we need to understand that taking a step back does not mean a failure. Taking a step back, reorganizing yourself, reevaluating kind of what the end goal is and the execution. It takes time, and it takes a level of maturity as a human, as a person. And for me, Soully Vegan is great. Soully Vegan, precedes itself. The reputation, it precedes itself. But really, if you really want to get down to it, the journey was kind of about, my self-development as a woman, as a Black woman, as an entrepreneur. And in that self-development will allow me to help and raise up other, young Black girls, young women that want to be in this space. Um, but also just want to be strong, individuals. I think that this journey has made me a very powerful person. And it's not just I'm not talking about financially, I'm not talking about business wise, I'm talking about my energy, and how I'm able to kind of control and manipulate, my experiences is because I had to. That's the way I started. And I had to control my experience with Soully Vegan, or else I never would have made it. we never would have made it past the first month. If you move in and you don't have rent and you don't have money for bills and you don't have all these things, statistically speaking, you're going to fail, and you're going to fail very quickly. But it was my mind and my will that made me keep going forward. And, even now, as we reach another stage in business, it's another level of maturity, and depending upon where a person wants to take their business, you have to be ready to control that business once it gets to, the higher level that you want it in. Oftentimes we'll see our business and we're like, okay, yeah, I want Soulely Vegan all over the world. This was always the dream, is that I want Soulely Vegan locations all over the world, but what does that really look like? And if that happened last year or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, would that Tamara have been able to control my equity in my business, in which I still own all my equity? Some people give away their equity very early, and then they no longer have control over their business, and they probably own 5% if they're lucky. And then they just become the face. So, it's just, it's about growing as a person so that you can handle the success.
Love that. Love the gems that you're dropping, because like you said, you have to be prepared for that, for your business to grow. And like I said, we're talking about transitions, and when you touched on you wanting Soully Vegan like global, right? And when you think about those sort of partnerships, especially in today's restaurant industry. So recently, you have a new partnership. It is with, what did this at my notes? It's with a grocery stores in Oakland,
Berkeley, yeah.
Berkeley. Yes. My thank you so much. My screen just decided to do a pop-up. So
Right.
it's like, thanks, I promise you. I have it right here. It's like
Right.
fixed. Yes. So so we're talking about transitioning, making moves. Talk about like how in partnership with the Berkeley Bowl West Supermarket, how did you land that partnership? And why is it important to develop partnerships with supermarkets or other chain supermarkets? And talk more about that.
Let me tell you, sis, that is like, okay, so actually they approached me. Now let me tell you about the history of my relationship with Berkeley Bowl Supermarket. Is that when I mentioned that in the beginning, my idea and my mother was pushing me to go straight from the stores, from the farmers market. So when I first opened Soulely Vegan Oakland, if you can imagine that Tamara didn't have enough on her plate, she wanted to do more. I actually had about 13 stores throughout the Bay Area that we were delivering our products to. But what happened was that a year in, I said, okay, I had to make a decision. Which one are you going to focus on? And I knew that I wanted the restaurant. I knew that I wanted to build the restaurant. And I said, okay, if I want to build this restaurant to what I know it can be, then I have to let everything else go. It's 1000% zeroed in on the success of the brand, the restaurant brand. And so that's what I did. So I let the stores go. So fast forward several years later, now I'm partnering with Berkeley Bowl again. And now what's going to happen is that they're actually going to launch our frozen food line. So that's something that is super exciting. You're definitely the first, press outlet that I'm kind of letting know that, that's happening. And what's great about the restaurant end is that, my son is coming into, the business, and he'll be kind of running the restaurant and, of the business, and myself as well, but kind of a team effort, so to speak. He finally realized that he needs to get on board. And so, with that being said, yeah, some super exciting things coming up, and I'm just, but at the same time, it's like people around me, they're like, Tamara, you don't get happy about anything. I'm actually a very I choose to be a happy person overall. Like overall, I'm a happy, but in terms of business, okay, so once the contracts are signed, then you'll see me get a little bit more happy. But then once now we're executing and now the operation is a machine, then might see me get a little bit more happy, but not even all the way excited, because which is, I don't know if that's a great thing because they say that you should pat your back along the way. That's something that I usually don't do, but I do just kind of focus on the end goal and what is the end goal and what are the steps to get there and are we executing those steps to get there. So I had to in every aspect or in my professional career, historically speaking, even in the medical field, I had to take a step back to take 3 steps forward. And that's just the way it was. You have to be willing to sometimes take a step back to gain more. It's a kind of one of the laws of the universe, just it be okay with kind of, it's like a feng shui that happens. It's like a dance, that happens between yourself and the universe, is that, you just humble yourself and know that everything is the money's always gonna come. It should never be about the money. I believe if a person chases money, they're always gonna chase money. That's not the life I want to live. I do want to be comfortable. I have plans to be very comfortable, but at the same time, the money is not the goal. The success of the business is the goal, and the money is gonna come.
Wow. Just again, dropping gems, dropping gems. And you said this a couple of times in terms of taking, first and foremost, congratulations. Like we got an exclusive. We got an exclusive guy. So
Thank you.
so maybe you can just drop in their frozen line with Berkeley Bowl West Supermarket. So
Yeah.
that's what particular what type of frozen food would it be like? I call it like TV dinners. I know there's like a particular name for it, or is it like what type of frozen food? Can you share that?
I'm not gonna share that right now, but it's gonna be great, and that's the thing, and if I can just kind of share something, is that okay? In the beginning, it was hard, right? And I'm making everything from scratch, and I'm doing all these things from scratch for the restaurant, and it's difficult. And now when I bring on labor, now the labor's higher because we're using quality ingredients, clean ingredients, but we're making everything from hand instead of outsourcing those products, which would have been easier. But now, as a result of that, I have all the makings to launch a wonderful food line, in the frozen food space. And most of our products are all of our products are unique to our brand, and so that's why the experience has always been very different with Soulely Vegan. And now that work is paid off because now we have the line to launch. So
Yes, and well, this is truly amazing. Also, I was going to say maybe another episode we'll bring you back and you can
yeah,
tell
I
us
love
what the
that.
line is. Yes,
I
yes.
love that. I
So
love that.
we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. So I love the fact that like when we talk about this partnership, a lot of you're elevating your brand from not just the great food, right, that you're providing your customers. It's now building like from that business now to brand to now you're expanding on that. So
Yeah.
so now when we think about this new partnership, how do you think this is going to elevate your brand and give you access to new customers? Talk more about that.
Yeah, I think that, I think that Soulely Vegan, has many legs. If my dog starts barking, are you gonna hear her in the background, or is it tuned out? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. She might start because I heard she's starting to say, she wants some attention. But anyway, so the food line is first of all, it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I shared that with you. And the vision for the food line is definitely to just have products that are international. And it's just a personal passion to get my product in the hands of, just make it a household name, so to speak. Whereas people know, do you hear her now? Do you need me to? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, good, good, good. Yeah, so to kind of make Souley Vegan a household name. I appreciate good food, when I'm on the road, and I appreciate the brands that have their burgers and things like that into, restaurants, etc. It's super accessible. And I want to make Souley Vegan accessible, in the way that, where people can know that their children are eating food that's actually good for them. It's plant-based and it's actually good for them. That's important to me.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Just like what your mom did for you, right? So
Exactly. That's right. That's right.
it always comes back. And, going back to where when we talk about your mom, your mother, but you really brought up your grandfather a lot. You talked about, your family coming from the Creole, Louisiana roots. So what I want to know is like, how do you balance honoring traditional soul food flavors with the vegan menu that you created? How do you, balance like those unique flavors? Because like I said, when I think about Louisiana, I'm like gumbo, the seafood, just everything, just all together. So how are you able to like choose which, I guess, seasoning or which like play on like your dishes that you want to present to your customers. Talk more about that. And how do you honor your grandfather as well?
Yeah, what's interesting is that somehow I just think that Louisiana Creole those spices just run through my blood. I mean, honestly, I watched my mother cook growing up. She can make something taste gourmet only using salt and pepper. So I watched how she finessed the food, how she treated the food, how she incorporated a salt, a pepper, a garlic, how she incorporated it in her dishes, so that I developed an understanding that it's not only the ingredients, it's how you treat those ingredients. And so when I started cooking, I had my aunts around me, and they would, show me how to make this beautiful basil rice. How do you make a perfect rice? And then I just started, oh, well, what if I added this, and what if I added basil? So eventually, at Soulely Vegan, that's actually what we do, is we mix our own spices. And so, when I started cooking, I was able to capture those flavors. So,
I do hear the dog now.
oh, you hear the dog? Okay,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
hold on one second. Sorry, she's so spoiled. She's just spoiled. So yeah, so with that said, I learned how to treat the food and ingredients from my mother. But in terms of the spices, when I first started cooking, I would use the pre-made Cajun spices, Cajun and Creole spices. But what happened is that one day I couldn't find the spice. The stores had ran out. None of the stores had them, and I had a catering event. And I'm like, oh, so I'm losing my mind, because this was one of the main spices that we use, or seasoning mix that we use. And so from that point, I mixed my own spices, and I developed, I said, I will never be in this position again. And from that point, I really, developed a love for really creating spice blends, which has been, the core of our success and our flavor profile. But in terms of capturing that, somehow, and even it's funny because my cousin from Louisiana, I said, Cheryl, I said, I'm gonna make some etouffee. She said, how you gonna make etouffee without crawfish? I said, just watch. And so anyway, so when I made it, she said, girl, give me this recipe. But my people from Louisiana, when they would eat my food, they said that they wouldn't have me change not one thing. And customers who would come in who were from the South, be it Mississippi, Louisiana, wherever they were from, they knew what part of the South this food was coming from. And they said, okay, this is Creole. This here is Creole. So they was able to identify it. So, we do pretty well.
So I love that. I love that. I mean, especially when you're in the industry where like things just happen. Like
Yeah.
you just gotta roll with the punches, or you have to be creative, and this you're able to make your own spice blend. It's like, okay, I can't find it now, but I make it myself, and I gotta make it
Yeah.
vegan. So again, this is the line of like transition, and
Yeah.
so thinking about transitioning and just rolling with the punches. Talk about your just experience of like moving now, like not city to city, but state to state. And I mean, that was West Coast from down, to down south, right? Like totally
Yeah.
different coasts. So talk about that. Talk about what was that journey like for you? Why did you decide to close down in Oakland, and why was like Louisiana giving your roots, or why was that New Orleans specifically? Why was the best location for you?
Yeah. So actually, I don't have a location in New Orleans.
Oh, I thought you did. I was looking because I saw an address. Oh, okay.
You know what? Some people, I think there's a place that opened up, but they serve vegetarian meals, but the name is similar. It's like Soul Cafe, Souley or something. And so
Yeah,
people were
yeah.
thinking, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not
Okay,
so
that's okay.
because I read like an article that said that you moved or you closed your so you're back, you're pretty much in you're still in Oakland, right?
Yeah, so we did
Okay.
you're right. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
We did close the Oakland location. We closed the Oakland location, and then we have something opening up in Martinez, which is not too far from Oakland, and then we have something
Oh,
opening
okay.
up in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Now, yeah, what I did do before is I did pilot kitchens, and also did Las Vegas, Nevada. So that's just to kind of test our brand and see, see how far our reach is and what demographics, et cetera. But yeah, so we have two locations, launching, within, several months of each other.
Nice. So the pilot kitchen. So that is so cool. So so now since you're back, and you're only back with you have the pilot kitchens you said, and then you're back with the supermarket and you're in Oakland, right? Just to
Yeah,
make sure that I get
exactly.
okay.
Uh-huh,
Okay. All
uh-huh.
right. All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Cool. That is great. So with the pilot kitchens, what did you notice? What were like what is some maybe like some different customer feedbacks that you were getting like in Vegas and when did you have to like adjust to the different cities or talk about that like transition?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I found is that, we do have quite a bit of a reach. So we were well received in Las Vegas, very well received in Los Angeles. The thing with Los Angeles is that, you have a lot of, folks there who, really pay attention to diet and weight and all those things. So just to kind of diversify the menu a bit to offer certain items that that kind of tend to that tend to those needs. But outside of that, I mean, we did very well in those demographics. Certain items were sold more in Las Vegas than in Los Angeles and vice versa. So it's just kind of learning what the people like, but the menu overall did very well in both locations. And the Berkeley Bowl, what happened was that the Berkeley Bowl called us to feature me for Black History Month in February. And so during that time, well, actually on my first meeting with them, they was like, hey, so what about the food line? We want your products back in the store, da da da, so on and so forth. So we're working on that, but kind of more so paying attention right now to launching these locations first, getting these locations up and running. Then thereafter, mommy will be able to focus on the frozen food line while my son focuses on the restaurant end.
Yes, I love it. And just having those that sort of balance, right, with family
Yeah.
and like you said, just really taking a step back and really thinking about how specifically you want to scale. So I love that you touched on that and because everyone wants to scale. I think every restaurant owner, of course, they want to scale, they want to become a franchise or whatever it is, but it's about what you were saying, scaling smart. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, definitely. And ultimately, the goal is absolutely to license out the brand. And so just kind of getting the operations just so we develop, you know, um, the SOPs, standards of operation, so to speak, so that we can then move in that territory efficiently. And so that those locations will ultimately succeed as well as the flagship, location. So again, just kind of moving strategically and understanding that, the Tamara several years ago, even though that Tamara built the restaurant, she built the hell out of that restaurant and ran it and grew it, with her bare hands. There's a language that's spoken in business that you need to kind of be well versed in. And it's the language of, not only expansion, because getting it has nothing to do with keeping it. It takes two separate situations to get it and then to keep it. So we want longevity. And so and with that, I still want to own equity in my company as well. I don't want to, sign an agreement that, basically I'm out. And that happens to a lot of women entrepreneurs every day. So with that, kind of building it to a point as well where we have more skin in the game. And it's just, it's just about understanding the language of business and making sure that you're moving wisely so that your future is set up.
Absolutely, moving wisely and understanding that sort of language is essential because, like you said, like you're in the thick of it. I think a lot of restaurant owners, when they're starting out, they're in that hustle mentality because, right, you gotta hustle, you gotta make rent. Like, you discussed that earlier. And
Yeah.
so now when it comes to scaling, like you said, it's just keeping the business and what does that look like? And what tips would you give for new restaurant owners or restaurant owners that are already in the industry in terms of like scaling? What tips? Give me 3 tips that you would give.
Get yourself, systematized. If your goal is to scale, you get in there, you open your business, you learn what works, you iron out the kinks, and then you make that good old book for duplication. Get the recipes down so that, once you start scaling, any location that, your patrons go to, their experience will be the same, if not better. But people are a kind of a creature of habit. So once they love something good, they'll always come back, if it's something that is good, even something that's, you know, mediocre, people just love to know what to expect. But for me, it's always about going the extra mile. Be willing to go the extra mile, even when you're on your 18th hour and you have no more energy. You have to find that energy to do that extra step because it's the extra step that gets you further. It's not doing the same thing every single day. It's every single day saying, okay, how can I do it better? How can I do it better? Always look to be better. But going into the restaurant space, if you're looking to scale, you go in there, you learn what works, what doesn't, you learn what the people love, what's the best recipes, heavy hitters, and then you start to systematize your operations so that it can easily be duplicated. And then just kind of having the dedication and understanding no one can really prepare themselves to be knocked out or knocked down, but understand that this will come. And when it comes, understand that it's not a failure and it's not there to stop you. It's there to make you stronger. It's literally like, if you're working out or something on the first day, it's so difficult. It's hard. You're out of breath. You don't want to go anymore. But each day you get stronger. Each day you get better. And then all of a sudden you've created this beast that now you're able to, move, mountains because you've trained for it. So understand that business is similar in that when you get knocked down, it's not to knock you out, it's to make you stronger and better. And then just consistency in your, in your routine in terms of, building the business. Again, it's always what can I do better? How can I be better? Never being satisfied with the status quo, so to speak. How can we make this better? Every year I would make Soulely Vegan better. Every single year I would make the customer's experience better. Whether it be adding something new and innovative to the menu that blowed their mind, or whether it be adding something to the experience. Maybe now there's blueberries in the water, and now you have your choice to put in your water raspberries and blueberries, and blackberries. Oh, okay. Did that work? No, because then people took too many berries. One person would take a lot of berries, but I'm just saying that. But with that being said, okay, well, now if we have the water, dispenser, so to speak, now we can add blueberries to that. So it's the small things that make the experience, right? Painting the bathroom, like just, different, the music that we play, is it louder? Is it a little bit lower? Is it, so on and so forth. So always looking to make your business better, but definitely just kind of systematizing your operations will save you a lot of grief.
Wow. I'm just now like that dropped mic. I mean, and one thing you did say, even one of the things that you did touch on over and over again is consistency. It's consistency, having your operations down pat, and just making sure you have that strong foundation. And like you said, I think like a lot of now people are getting more and more into the food industry, but really having that sort of your foundation is essential. And keeping that foundation going, like being consistent, right? Showing
Right.
up. Yeah. Yeah.
Showing up.
So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, yeah, so thank you so much for meeting with me today, speaking with you. It was absolutely fantastic and giving us the exclusive. Congratulations on your new line.
Thank
We're
you.
definitely back. I hope you come back to us.
Yeah.
Um, yes, yes,
I would love
so,
that. Yeah, I would
yes.
love that. I often speak at well, when I was in Oakland, I would mentor, young girls for, who aspired to be chefs or entrepreneurs or just kind of life skills. And then I speak often actually. So I'm always happy to share. It's definitely one of my passions to share and to speak. So yeah, I'm happy. Thank you for having me and I'd be happy to come back anytime.
I love to hear that. Oh, I was just about to let you go, but you talked about how you mentor young girls who want to be chefs. Is there like a nonprofit that you have, or are you? Oh yeah, please talk about that.
Oh yeah, no. I
Okay,
don't have a non. I actually,
okay.
what's interesting is that we're
Very-
we're working on putting together a nonprofit just because it's something that I'm so passionate about, and Oakland is something that I'm so passionate about. But really, just young women, young Black women, just because I feel like in my history I have so much to share, different parts of my life that that I have to share that they would be able to identify with and I might able to identify that allows me to identify with them. And so with that, I kind of use that tool to speak and to share and to mentor. It's just necessary. And then I'm a strong believer that our journey is lastly for us. It's more so to teach the people that come after you how to do it, because a lot of these kids are lost. A lot of these kids, a lot of grown-ups are lost. I mean, a lot of people are lost, period. But if I can tap into the kids, somehow and just share my experiences and help them in some way, even if it's one out of a crowd, then I feel very blessed to be able, to do that. So yeah, that's something that I'm extremely passionate about.
Hey, oh my goodness, I love, 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 love that. And do you have like sometimes you have like the kids come and intern for you too?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
okay.
Yeah. They would intern and we would very much do hands-on and and I'll just share with you that I had this one girl that and she had tried to commit suicide at one point and she, we're talking um and I asked her, I asked her, I said, "Do you think I'm successful?" And then she says, "Well, yeah, Miss Dyson, look at all these awards and, look at all these achievements that you have, right?" And then when I shared with her my past as a child, she couldn't believe how much of the same we were. She couldn't believe that I had been through so much, and she says, and I said, "Well, what do you want to be, when you grow up?" She was like, "Well, I want to be an OBGYN." I said, "Well, do you think that you can achieve that?" And she says, "Well," is a young Black girl, and she says, "No, I don't think I can because I'm not that good in math." And she said, "I flunked algebra." I said, "Well, just take it again." I said, "Do you know how many times I flunked algebra when I was going to school for nursing, trying to get my associates?" Yeah, because I didn't do well, in junior high or high school. I chose to kind of drop out and then I went back to college because I wanted to pursue the nursing. But as a result of that, I had to take those high school courses again and I still struggled with math. And I said, if you fail it, just take it again. And if you fail it again, then just take it again. Each time I bet you're gonna know more than the last class. Just keep on taking it until you but they need to hear that because they look at people and they think that, oh, you're so successful, and they think that it was kind of just dropped in your lap. And I believe that people and children need to know what it took They need to know about the journey.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, I was just about to let you go, but I have one more thing that came up. I'm
Right
not gonna
on.
say one more thing. You know, your um transition again, nursing. Okay, nursing, and then now into the restaurant industry. Now, like, can you talk about that? Like, you told me earlier how you were a nursing student, and so talk about that transition. Like, what was going down through your head for your family? Like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna open up a
Yeah.
restaurant. It's like, what?
Yeah. Honestly, my goal as a young child, seeing everything that my mother struggled with financially, and the goal was always to take care of her. And so, I think that, and I love the medical field. I was in there, I worked around badass nurses, excuse my language, incredible nurses, physicians who allowed me to grow there, who allowed me to grow and allow me to flex power that I didn't have, to learn to assert myself. Like they were geniuses. Like they were a part of raising me, and they actually prepared me to own my own business. So, in a roundabout way. But yeah, I mean, I was on my path. The opportunities were endless in the medical career. I had earned a great name at Marin General Hospital, where I was for just under 10 years. Endoscopy unit, surgery center. But something else was calling me, and I had to do it. I had to start that journey, not only as an entrepreneur, but for me, I didn't even call it that. It was just an offering on myself. It was another path that I needed to take, that my spirit was just telling me that this is what I needed to do. And I knew that I had great product, and I knew I had something to offer the world. And the food is an extension of myself, just like speaking is an extension of myself. That's how I work. That's what I like to cultivate and grow, is true extensions of myself, and see what the universe brings back. And so far, it's been very successful. But in terms of the transition, it was hard. I mean, I lost everything behind it, but I kept going, and I kept going even after the nurses. They were like, Tamara, why are you putting yourself through this? Just come back to work. Come back to work part-time. You're a single mother, work part-time. And they tried to convince me to come back, but I knew that I had a journey to fulfill. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I followed my instinct, my heart, my spirit. I followed everything in me, and through hard times and worse times, I stayed on course. Stay on course. Trust the process. When you ask me what would I say to entrepreneurs coming up, honey, listen, it sounds like a cliche, but trust that process. Trust the process, and reference stories, of the most successful people financially, multimillionaires, billionaires, and look at what they went through to get there. Look at and we're not talking about the silver spoons in the mouth and the people that, got handed down money. A lot of us don't identify with that, but look at the road that people what they had to endure to get to where they are today. And it took a lot of failures. Who is it? Is it I forget the quote that says I forget the entrepreneur that says he won't invest in anybody unless they failed at least 3 times. Trust the process. You'll come back stronger as long as you don't quit. Never quit. And that sounds like a cliche, but it's very true. Never quit, and trust that process even when it feels terrible. Just keep going. Keep going. To just keep going is extremely powerful.
I love it. I mean, yeah, we definitely need you to be, to do more speaking. Because I could just talk to you and hear you speak all day, because you're like speaking life into okay.
Yes, honey. Yes.
Yes, I love that. And then when we talk about like capital, I just wanted to go back to that question. Were you able to use like some of your funding from your nursing job into your business, or like is that how you got capital? Like, or you just family and friends? How did that?
I bootstrapped it. I left my job with no savings, no cushion whatsoever, which is why I lost everything behind it. And so when we say I left Marin General Hospital, good job, stable. As a result, I lost my apartment, got evicted from my apartment. I got my car repossessed. Anything that could happen did. But I still kept going. And even when they were still offering me a job to come back, I knew that that's not where my spirit wanted to be. Even I loved it there. And they're lifelong friends, and I love what they taught me, but it was time for me to move on. And I understood that. Energetically speaking, I understood that. And so with that being said, I just chose to keep on going. So when you asked me about financing, it was not there. So just understand that when we started, the money that I made from that day was what I reinvested back into my business, and that's how I grew it to, to a very successful business.
Love it. Black girl magic.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this time, this is for real. I'm gonna
Okay.
thank you again for taking the time out to speak with me. This is truly, truly amazing. I'm excited to see how you're going to continuously grow. Hopefully I've never been to Oakland before, but now I know I got a place to go. So
yeah, for sure. So we'll be close to Oakland. We'll be in Martinez, and then we're opening up in Los Angeles as well. So, we'll see. By the time you get ready to travel, who knows where we'll be,
Right.
Other
You'll
locations.
be in like 10 cities by that, and whatever, in another country, Dubai. Soulely Vegan Dubai. That sounds good.
Yes.
Hopefully here in New York City, that's where I'm based.
Oh, okay. Okay. What part of New York?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,